Welcome back to Hardball. For a president who came into office decrying the dangerous war talk of the neocon crowd, he's doing a pretty good job of imitating them. In his biggest foreign policy move to date, President Trump today announced he was withdrawing the United States from the Iran nuclear deal and reinstating sanctions related to their nuclear program.
This was a horrible, one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It is clear to me that we cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement. The Iran deal is defective at its core. America will not be held hostage to nuclear blackmail. We will not allow American cities to be threatened with destruction, and we will not allow a regime that chants death to America to gain access to the most deadly weapons on earth.
Well, the dangers of Trump's decisions are clear: alienating our allies, blowing up a deal that by all accounts is working, and most ominously risking some sort of conflict in the Middle East. In fact, last week, French President Emmanuel Macron told a German magazine withdrawing from the deal would have dire consequences. Here's Macron. That would mean opening up Pandora's box. It would mean war. It would mean war. The deal was implemented to curtail, of course, Iran's nuclear program. And for all the president's tough talk today, he offered no evidence it wasn't working. In fact, the IAEA, which monitors Iran's program, said as recently as March, Iran was complying.
As of today, I can state that Iran is implementing its nuclear-related commitments. We have had access to all the sites and locations which we needed to visit.
Well, joining me from London is NBC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel. John Cirincione is president of the Ploughshares Fund and an MSNBC national security analyst. And Nayyera is a former State Department official in the Obama administration. I want to start with Joe. There was no violation claimed by the United States. Even Trump, with his full cry of neoconism today and crazy regime talk and all the wackiness of what he had to say, never once said Iran broke the deal. No. So obviously they haven't.
Right. Just last week, the State Department certified that Iran is in compliance.
So we're the ones breaking the deal.
Absolutely. We violated the deal, and now this gives Iran a way out. They can basically leave the deal without penalty, without consequences. They could restart their program in a matter of months, and this puts us back now, without our allies on our side, without the sanctions that we were able to put on globally, this puts us back on a path to war, right where we were in 2011,
exactly.
2013.
Nayyera, before we got this deal, thanks to Obama and John Kerry and the rest of them, had put it together. Zarif and all the people around the world put it together. The Russians, the French, everybody. Before this deal, people like John Bolton were out there banging the drum for war. And we've got the quote. He actually was out there saying, we got to go bomb Iran. We have to bomb Iran, like bomb Iran to the song. Bomb Iran, bomb Iran. Let's take a look at him. This is John Bolton before. If you want a clue to what could come next, look at the man who President Trump recently chose to be his national security advisor. John Bolton has been one of the loudest advocates of regime change in Iran, has endorsed military strike against them. Let's watch Bolton here in action.
You've written an op-ed today in the New York Times, and here's the headline. It's an eye-catcher. To stop Iran's bomb Iran. What do you mean?
That just as Israel twice before has struck nuclear weapons programs in the hands of hostile states, I'm afraid, given the circumstances, that's the only real option open to us now.
You want to bomb them? Really?
Well, I'd rather we weren't in this position, but we have followed policies for close to 30 years now that have left us with no other option. There's a lot we can do, and we should do it. Our goal should be regime change in Iran.
Okay, bold talk by another one of these chicken hawks. I mean, big on talk, you know, no military experience in his life. Here we go. And now they're doing it again. He said the only alternative to something to, well, he didn't say there was an alternative. He said the alternative was to attack Iran. Right. Now that there's no deal, what's to stop this character who's now in the president's ear from pushing for an attack?
Well, let's be clear. He is the brains behind this operation at this point, because Donald Trump himself is driven entirely by pettiness against Barack Obama.
Yeah.
He calls himself a deal maker. lawmaker. There's not a single deal he hasn't pulled the United States out of, and he hasn't struck any deals in his time in office either. You have John.
He just wants to erase Barack Obama, like saying he's a foreigner who snuck in the country, and then get rid of Obamacare and get rid of this.
Right, and John Bolton is the one who has an ideology, and it's regime change. Regime change appeared in this speech out of nowhere when this really was a technical deal directed at stopping Iran from developing a nuclear bomb. This was never a deal intended or even presented as something that was supposed to stop Iran from all of its other nefarious activities in the region.
Of course, we all knew that at the time. The deal was about nuclear development. Anyway, President Trump's predecessor, Barack Obama, has said here, issued a rare statement rebuking today's announcement as misguided. Let's understate it. Barack Obama wrote, "The reality is clear. The agreement is working." That is a view shared by our European allies, independent experts, and the current U.S. Secretary of Defense. I believe that the decision to put the agreement at risk without any Iranian violation of the deal is a serious mistake. Without the agreement, the United States could eventually be left with a losing choice between a nuclear-armed Iran or another war in the Middle East. In a joint statement, the leaders of England, France, and Germany said, "It is with regret and concern that we take note of President Trump's decision to withdraw. This agreement remains important for our shared security." On the other hand, leaders of Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates all publicly backed President Trump's decision. And now let's go to Richard Engel on this. Richard, what do you make of this amazing? We saw this coming. It's been coming for a long time. But here we are breaking in the Pottery Barn. We're breaking something that we'll now have to fix.
Well, sometimes news can be both anticipated and shocking at the same time, and I think that's what happened now. People that I've been speaking to think that there were several consequences that are going to come from this. It decreases trust in U.S. commitments. It emboldens the hardliners in Iran. It makes conflict in the region more likely, and it surrenders the moral high ground to Iran. None of those positive outcomes.
Do you think it's possible that they will resume their nuclear program?
It's possible. I wouldn't say that that is going to be their first action. If you heard Rouhani today, the president of Iran, who was standing by at the podium, he was ready to go with a statement. The Trump speech was broadcast live in Iran, even though it was almost midnight, and then it switched right into Rouhani's statement. He said that Iran is going to stick with the deal, that it was a P5+1 deal, meaning the permanent members of the UN Security Council plus one, plus Germany. He said now it's just 5, but we're going to stick with the deal and we're going to keep ahead and our economy is strong. And then he added this threat, but if there is no benefit for Iran and the deal effectively collapses entirely, then we could restart our industrial nuclear program, as he called it. But I think that was really a sign to the hardliners, because he now faces a serious problem within the country. There are many people in Iran who told him and told the people, never trust the U.S., don't do a deal with the United States. They're never going to commit to this deal. They'll never honor it. And now they're going to go back to Rouhani and say, we were correct. So if he can continue to have money coming in and have some sort of deal functioning with the other signatories of this deal, then I think he stays on. But if that starts to wither and it starts to fall apart and the hardliners get more and more of a voice, then you're going to see internal conflict within Iran. You're going to see this entire structure breaking down. And I think over time, maybe even not even over a large period of time, we're going to see increased tensions and the risk of conflict in the Middle East.
And part of this looks like just Trump's obsession with getting rid of anything that Barack Obama accomplished. It just smacks of pettiness, like getting rid of the Paris Agreement, getting rid of Obamacare, getting rid of Obama in the history books. Thank you, Richard Engel, John Cirincione, and Nayyera Hack. Much more.